Hello, Doctor Who here, and this is the final time the Sony Pony Splatoon branding will ever be used. The Sony Pony Splatoon retirement. This has nothing to do with Uncharted in the present. In Origins, we had a reflecting on Uncharted, which had nothing to do with the Origins, at least content wise, so might as well do one for this. I would rather retire in this because the present has been so spectacular, even though this has nothing to do with Uncharted. But, the Sony Pony Splatoon cause, the war against foam stars, the state of foam stars in 2026 is in a major decline. Every major name has left except for one. And, yeah, basically, I won the war. Everything I ever said came true. I predicted everything, and it was a heated war, a dramatic war, a hostile type of thing. But it's time to move on from it. It's like eventually the game will most likely die. Every game will die. Every online game does die in the end. But to fire back at them anymore, there's no point anymore. It's been too long. It doesn't matter in 2026 compared to a year ago or so, and most of them are gone. And the eye opener for me was Crystal. Crystal Light Crystal, whatever her name is. She's basically holding the community on her back, and I kind of went in her stream to take some jabs at her, and we exchanged some words back and forth, and and she wanted to hear my side of the story, and we privately went into a Discord phone call, and we talked for about 30 minutes, and she respected my story, doesn't respect my views, of how I represent myself, the villain stuff that I did, taking jabs at the community and the things that I did. She doesn't agree with, but she understands my story. She understands my views on it and why I do it. And I understand her views. It's a mutual ground. And, this is, about a year ago, I would have loved to do a debate. I've mentioned it many times. I want to debate with the Foam Stars people, but they kept the lid on me, try to pretend like I don't exist. And they would never talk to me, right? Like, they would never negotiate. Like, they think I'd be hostile. And when me and Crystal talked, I wasn't hostile at all. I was as respectful as can be. And I understand her points of views on it. And I understand why she does it. And she kills it. And she's good at it. And she's good for the community. And it was an eye-opener for me. What I said to her was an eye-opener for her. And what she said to me was an eye-opener for me. And it's not my fight anymore. I moved on to other projects over the course of the year, and, I left this all behind me, and it's time to finally just move on and let it be, whether it dies or not, whatever, But I want to say I appreciate Crystal for talking to me, understanding my story, listening to the story, and me listening to her, and being civil. I'm glad I was civil back because, deep down, I'm not a bad guy. And this is the end. This is the end, the retirement of Sony Pony Splatoon. Definitely not an ending that it should have been. It should have been a more climactic, villainous, fire meets fire, fire fighting fire type scenario. But it's better this way. It's more of like a redemption arc, even though not really. Like, I'm not redeemed in the entire community, but at least Crystal respects me, and I respect her. And that's all I needed, was a main one of them to understand the points of views that I was doing it at. And, yeah, so I'm going to end it there, respectfully. Kind of a redemption, but not really, but ending it on better terms, the way it should be, because deep down, I loved Foam Stars. At one point when the game came out, I wanted it to thrive and be something, and my final moments talking about Foam Stars shouldn't be that villain ending that it was. It should be, you know, me talking to a community member and ending it on a better, respectful note, peacefully and civilly and civil. So, yeah. Sony Pony Splatoon, Foam Stars. It was a good run. It was a good war. We had fun. But now the fate is whatever the fate is going to be, as time will tell. And thank you, Crystal, for being civil and having peace. I appreciate you. I appreciate the moments in Foam Stars. Thank you. And goodbye.